Hello, and welcome to Mean Street News. Mean Street News is here to provide accurate news to help citizens affect change in their local government and beyond. Being nice is overrated. It is time to be real. I mean what I say, and I say what I mean. The time to step up and step in is now. So please come join me, Katie, over on Mean Street News to discuss Ohio politics and beyond. I hope to see you there. Hello, and welcome to Mean Street News.
They had a problem on their hands. They couldn't solve the crime, and they have these guys that are drug dealers in the area. So they become easy marks for this. There is a blade sitting in a diagram found right next to Marsha Blakely's body. They never tested it for DNA. They never collected it. They never tested it. It was at a time when DNA is the early 90s. DNA was around. Her roommate, Epps, Raymond Epps, is found a mile or two down the road with his throat slit and run over.
Same thing.
Same thing. No one's been charged. No one's been charged. It's an unsolved case as of this day. Why?
Because they pinned it on these other guys.
Because they pinned it on these guys, and this guy, William Avery Jr., only came in with information about one of the murders. The cases were so clearly connected that the medical examiner pointed it out. These people were killed in the same way. Why there isn't an outrage, a fucking outrage about this case is beyond me. When I got this case, I said, there is no way what you're telling me is true. That this guy has come and wants to clear his conscience and tells you exactly what happened, and the FBI told the prosecutors that he's a liar, and these guys are still, two of them are still serving life sentences, and when you have to live stamped as a murderer, even in the free world, you know, Al Cleveland is out and he's suffering. I mean, I had to listen to his wife heaving. She couldn't get a hold of herself because she went down to J.D. Tomlinson's office and said, "You told me you were going to help." And he said, "I can't now. I'm sorry, I've been indicted. The last time I exonerated someone, look what they did to me," because he exonerated someone else and his political opponents attacked him. You know, human beings, we sometimes get in our own way because of outside forces, what we think other people are going to say, think. J.D. Tomlinson's been voted out. He's been wrongfully accused of a crime. It's time for him to say, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing. All I ask is actually a meeting with him. I want to meet with you. Between now and December 31st, let me lay everything out for you as I have in this submission. He's now going to have it in his hands. He wouldn't answer my text messages. I'll give him a break. He was obviously going through some serious personal issues, being under indictment, running for re-election. This is an easy thing. This is just doing the right thing. There is no way that you could look at this evidence, and this is why I think it's a good idea for, rather than give a snapshot of a case and have to rely on some process with these conviction integrity units behind closed doors where they run the reinvestigation. I like the public being able to get invested and look at the evidence themselves. Everyone loves a true crime story. So why not, as part of this, let the public help make the case? And when they write a letter, they'll do it more forcefully. Or they call him and say, how could you ignore this? So I would just encourage everyone to go on Twitter and go to Free the Ohio 4 and
Hello and welcome back to Mean Street News. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, thank you for coming back. We're going to get right into it today. That clip that I just played for you was from October of 2024. It was Josh Dubin of the Pearl Mutter Law Center, attorney for John Edwards, as we know as Shakim. He, in this clip, was trying to appeal to J.D. Tomlinson since the election was now over. He had lost his election due to, I believe, lawfare that went on in this county. And due to the felony indictments, he was no longer going to look into the Ohio 4 case while he was running for re-election. And it's understandable because of what they did to him during that re-election, the slandering with the Jennifer Battistelli nonsense, the weaponization of the sheriff's office against him, the weaponization of the FBI, the weaponization of the state auditor's office, the weaponization of local officials, and the weaponization of his own girlfriend. She was, well, I don't know, ex-girlfriend at the time, ex-lover, scorn lover, who was working with the sheriff's office to extort a sitting prosecutor, I feel like. But anyways, onto that. After he lost the election, J.D. Tomlinson did decide to look into the Ohio 4 case. He ended up filing motions for a new trial. And I'm going to play a quick clip from Kim Corral and Jennifer. I forget her last name, but she is an attorney for the Ohio Public Defender's Office. And I know she represented Benson Davis, I believe, for wrongful conviction. We're going to play a clip where they're then pleading to the judges to allow the motion to be heard before J.D. Tomlinson gets out of office. Because what the attorneys know and what we knew at the time on Mean Street News was that when Tony Sillo, who was in the criminal justice, head of the criminal justice division for 20 some odd years in Lorain County, quit during Tomlinson's term, worked for the AG's office for a little bit, and then came back to work for the sheriff's office while he ran for re-election. First time in history, the sheriff hired an attorney, and not only hired him, but hired the former prosecutor, Dennis Wells. So we had two attorneys the sheriff personally hired, which is very, very odd. But Tony Sillo, they thought would dismiss this case. The attorney general, actually, in this case, the Ohio 4 case, asked the sitting common pleas judge Chris Cook to hold on to this case until Tony Sillo got in office. And I think that's because he knew Tony Sillo would kill it, which he ultimately did. But let's hear, before he kills it, let's hear from Kim Corral, attorney for Alfred Cleveland, and attorney Jennifer. I'm so sorry, Jennifer, I forget your last name, but they are going to discuss what they expected the courts to do.
That's JOANNASANCHEZ. I'm director of the Wrongful Conviction Project at the Ohio Public Defender's Office, and I represent Benson Davis, who's one of the Ohio 4. We are surrounded today by men and women who have been wrongfully convicted, who have been through the injustice that the Ohio 4 continue to endure today. And we know that this happens far too much in Ohio. We have over 100 men and women in Ohio who were sentenced to prison for crimes they did not commit and who received justice and they were exonerated. And these 4 men deserve that justice today. Benson Davis has sat in prison for 30 years for a crime that he did not commit. John Edwards also sits in prison. And you heard from Al Cleveland and Lenworth Edwards, and they're out, but they're still enduring the pain. They're still enduring the injustice. They haven't gotten that justice that they deserve. Dozens of attorneys have looked at this case, and along with Prosecutor Tomlinson, have come to recognize that this is a wrongful conviction, and we need to act now, because justice delayed is justice denied.
Right. Justice delayed is justice denied.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Kendall Corral. That's KENDALLCORRAL. My firm represents Lenny Edwards, who is, you just heard from, served 29 and a half years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Together, these 4 men have served more than 126 years in prison. Wow. I was 8 years old when Lenny was incarcerated and nearing 40 when he got out. If you imagine the lifetime we have all lived, while these men spent caged for a horrendous and heinous crime which they had nothing to do with. It's not just that they lost their freedom, but they were given one of the worst labels you could put on another person, of being killers, and that's not who these men are. We know that the criminal justice system cannot correct itself in every case. By show of hands, how many people here are exonerees? Keep your hands up if you served time in prison for a crime you didn't commit.
She goes on to say that the prosecutor has a duty to relook into this case, and the judges have a duty to allow them to move forward. And unfortunately, the judges did not act while J.D. Tomlinson was in office. And even though Tony Sillo said in the paper that he would actually give this case a fair look at, looking into, we know he didn't. We know that once again, a case for his best friend, Rosenbaum, who worked as an assistant prosecutor and tried this case as well as the Nancy Smith case they attacked J.D. Tomlinson over. He immediately, one of his first things as a prosecutor he did was withdraw the motion for a new trial. And the new common pleas judge, Giovanna Bremke, accepted that. And then Josh Dubin went back on to Joe Rogan, and we're going to play that clip that we played from last night, and then we're going to get back into the second interview with Willie Mincy, who I believe allegedly, my theory is that he was the main suspect before the Lorain police detectives decided to frame 4 guys from New York that were a pain in their ass and stepping on, as they say, locals in their drug operation. So Josh Dubin goes on to say after Tony Sillo decided to withdraw the motion for a new trial, he goes on the Joe Rogan. It's 1 minute, and then we're going to get back into the Mincy interviews. But I just want to take the beginning of these episodes to show you all, the fight that the Ohio 4 have been going through. Because, even Shakim messaged me yesterday and said Tony Sillo is trying to throw us under the jail. 2 people are still incarcerated for crimes they didn't commit.
I don't know anything about him, but I do find it really difficult to understand why he took such an interest in this case, such that he blocked justice from happening and withdrew the state's position. How about hear us out and meet with us before you withdraw the joint motion to dismiss? How about that? How about you hear the evidence before making it the first official act or among the first official acts? I'm not optimistic going in, but I can tell you this. I have found something as recent as yesterday where alternative suspects were brought to the attention of the Lorain County prosecutor. And wouldn't you know that the person assigned to investigate these alternative suspects and to liaise with the police department was one Tony Sillo? I saw that document for the first time yesterday.
So what do you think that could mean?
I don't know what it means. I have a lot of questions.
We all have a lot of questions, and I really wonder who that person was. And I wonder what he had to say, or she. And I wonder why it never came to light. But regardless, tonight we are going to listen to Willie Mincy's second interview. Last night I played for you the first interview from the day they found Marsha at 9 a.m. behind the Westgate Shopping Plaza. And they found Floyd Epps. I'm going to show you guys a picture. Floyd Epps, who was, Marsha was 22, Floyd Epps was 47. On Wallace Avenue in the street, ran over, throat cut, and deceased. And his murder investigation is still to this day an open investigation. And they charged the 4 young men from New York, 2 still incarcerated with Marsha Blakely's murder. So it's actually very short tonight. It's only a 12-minute interview, and that is because the interview stops midway. And the Lorain police right now are trying to figure out where the other half of that interview is. If it was maybe just a a technical issue when the tape didn't transfer because they transferred it to audio for me, or they're just missing it. They don't know. And I'm waiting to hear back from them on that. But when we get it back, we'll finish this interview. But tonight we're going to do a really quick live. I don't want to exceed an hour. Might even be shorter than that if we get to this interview. But just a real quick review. And Detective Taliano for us in the beginning of this interview is going to review what they learned the day before from Willie Mincy. But real quick, before he does, I want to. So Willie Mincy, we found out Willie Mincy was the last person with her between 2 and 2:30 a.m. We know that her friend Mary Jane Gonzalez saw her outside of her apartment at her apartment between 12:30 at night, and that there is a brown maroon rust bucket car that looks like an Oldsmobile, might be an Oldsmobile. Willie Mincy even said it's a 69 Oldsmobile, which is really weird. Like, how would you know the year if you don't know what car it was? He also made damning statements that he took her purse that night, that they were fighting. He also had a moment of crying, saying that he should have just stayed home. He should have just called her. He shouldn't have chased after her. Again, that he was with her at 2 a.m. And then all of a sudden, just like, that he didn't know who she hung out with, didn't know who she owed drug debts to, that, she would just trick and boost and steal. And he was mad about that and mad about her, drug addiction, and that they were together that night. And literally the coroner puts her time of death after 3 a.m. and he was with her between 2 and 2:30. Let's, call a spade a spade. During another interview that you guys are going to listen to, there's actually a witness that puts him with her at her house. You'll hear about that. And I learned the first time through these audio tapes that was a thing. I never even saw his name in the police report. But tonight we're going to finish. The next day, I guess, Willie Mincy came in and the detectives were told that he needed to inform them on some more information. And we are going to see how that goes. So give me 1 second. Let me share my screen and I'll let you guys listen. And we're going to do what we did last night. I'm going to play a couple. I'm going to play some audio and then share some thoughts. I do want to let you know this audio is lower than the one yesterday, and I had enhanced it already. I already enhanced it twice to make it louder. So I apologize if it's a little hard to hear in some sections, but I did my best. No, I don't want that.
Tested.
Yeah, juvenile style, just like that. Okay. Okay, today's date is Friday, August 9th, 14:35 hours. Detective Italiano and Detective Ascended with Willie Mincy regard to the investigation involving Marsha Blakely Floyd Epps. We talked to you yesterday, I guess, and at that time, you gave some information, but you indicated that you needed to talk to us again, so we want to make sure that you still understand your constitutional rights. As I explained yesterday, you're not a suspect, but just to protect ourselves, and I'd like everyone to know that they do have the right to remain silent, and that anything you could say would be held against you, it could be. And that you have the right to have an attorney present, and if you can't afford them, will be appointed to represent you. Question if you wish. Having that in mind, you still want to talk to us? Okay, well, I have to sign it right there. Okay. And I'll wait to. But Diana, and effective December. And then August 9th, 91, 14:35 hours. Okay, well, I tell you, when we talked yesterday, you know, one of the things that I was interested in was what exactly she was doing out at that time of the morning, who she might have been with, and who she was last with, and of course, when the last time you saw her. And at the time, you had indicated that she'd come over your house, you thought between 2 and 2:30. You weren't real sure, but you thought that was the time, and that you had some type of small complication, pulled the purse from her hand. She later walked west on 23rd Street, you didn't have her shoes on, you returned to the house with some shoes, you were taking a bike, had a problem with the chain. And then by the time you got down to the area of 23rd and Rees Avenue, you saw a white station wagon pulling from the curb on what would be the south side, and then going east and then south on Marshall. You thought that Martha was in the car, and that there were two other occupants in the car. Okay. I'd say that what I'm having a real problem with is everybody that I've talked to says that nobody knew her better than you. I mean, you were probably the person closest to her.
I am the person closest to her even more than.
Right, okay, so, what I have a problem understanding is why you're not able to give me more information about what she was up to and who she was up to. Because unless we have that kind of information, we're spinning our wheel. The guy who killed her, killed Floyd, on a walk.
She kept telling me about it. And like I was telling you yesterday, she kept telling me about people after her, you know, the killer and shit. But I never could never do that. I mean, maybe you heard it, but not like it is in this paper right here.
Mm-hmm. Well, who is she dealing with?
Those people over in the projects.
Well,
That guy named Lynn, that's the only thing she told me. She told me she passed from Detroit too. But, you know, she
what
was
about the
telling
guy
me
from Detroit? What she said?
where they smoked, smokers stuff up and they was looking for her or something. She said they run. You know, she used to talk all night. But I used to try to talk to her about that kind of stuff. And she used to talk about, they run up on me, they won't, you know. But she used to carry a little knife too. When she was out there.
So, not much out of that, but what he just said was very interesting. I wanted to pause there. She used to carry a little knife. Well, who has 25 small stab-like torture wounds? Marsha Blakely. Josh Stevens said in the beginning of this interview that there was a blade right next to her. Was that her knife? Willie Mincy apparently knew that she carried a knife on her, but there was no knife in her purse when they found it, the purse that Willie Mincy stole. And when Detective Taliano follows up and says, where does she keep the knife? He said it was in her purse. He'll say in a minute, it's in her purse. I'm going to rewind it, but he'll say in 452 mark that it's in her purse. And he said, Detective Taliano says, sorry, I'm trying to read without my glasses. This purse right here, and Detective Italiano apparently had the purse in there with him. And he said, no, she had done about 200 purses. So the crackhead has 2 more purses than I do, you know. Couldn't be that one. You know, she didn't keep it. She kept the knife on her, but not in honor in the sense of, you know, in her purse where I just said it was. And I find it really interesting. Josh Stevens said there was a blade next to her and it was never tested. It was never taken. Could be a coincidence, but listen carefully.
And stuff. And she used to talk about, they run up on me, they won't, you know. But she used to carry a little knife too. When she was out there. Little knife like this.
Where'd she keep it in?
It was in her purse.
This purse right here?
No, not that.
A different purse?
She had 200 purses. You know what I mean? But, you know.
She ever carried the knife in her pocket? Pants pocket?
not that no. I only seen her one night.
Let me ask you a question. Did she wear underwear as a rule?
No, not that much.
Bra pants?
Not
Maybe she didn't
Yeah,
or did.
not that much.
No. So it wouldn't be, you don't think your boyfriend, you should know if they would be able to prove that she didn't have any underwear on there?
Ain't gonna be on the
How much do you think she was into these people with for?
I don't think if she was into it. I mean, the way somebody run her over with a car. I mean, I don't think that don't make no sense. Don't make no sense. I don't understand. You know, I'm even a little bit scared, you know, because I was riding up on this car. You know what I'm saying? I rode up on this car, and they probably seen me as well as I seen them. I mean, I didn't see.
So Willie Mincy even says, he said when Detective Taliano asks, he says, you know, well, how much did she owe these people? Like trying to follow up on his whole story from the day before. And Willie Mincy, by the way, sounds a lot better today. The day before, he sounded like he was withdrawing, just to be honest with you. But what does he say? He says, you know, he asked how much was she into these people for? Thousands? And Mincy responds, he doesn't even think she was into it like that. He says, the way somebody ran her over with a car, I mean, I don't think that don't make no sense. That doesn't make no sense. Like, yeah, she might get her ass beat for stealing some crack, but she's not going to get killed. People aren't killing for people for $10, $5 dime bags. You know what I mean? And then they get back onto it about, you know, he's afraid because, you know, he wrote up on these people too, you know, wrote up on these people that night. But what's so funny is that in the next minute, he's going to admit at the 11-minute mark, he actually never saw her and doesn't know if she was in that car. And he never saw her in that car. Basically saying that the white station wagon that we talked about yesterday didn't exist. Now the brown one does, especially because what his sister says, but the brown one absolutely exists. But that white station wagon that she just rode off in does not, according to Willie Mincy in a couple of minutes. But that's really interesting. So he knew she carried a knife, just not in that purse. And he's like, well, did she carry it on her person? Well, I don't know. I wouldn't know that. And then instead of following up with that, like, well, you just said she, you know, carried a knife. Like, he talks about her bra and panties. You know, she wore bra and panties. What is the point of that question? What, I mean, honestly, very weird.
See him that good. I didn't see the two people in the front riding on this car. You know what I'm saying? I don't make no sense. I don't understand. You know, I'm even a little bit scared, you know, because I was riding up on this car. You know what I'm saying? I rode up on this car, and they probably seen me as well as I seen them. I mean, I didn't see him that good. I didn't see the two people in the front seat that good. I seen two shadows, and it looked like Marsha was in the back seat. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you know, I was kind of worried about that. But, you know, if I get a gun, I ain't gonna be too worried about it.
Well, I don't have any problem if you want to protect yourself. Let's get back to business. Right? You be Martian. I think you can help the one you have. I'm sure that you have to know more about a business than you're telling me. And if you're not telling me because you think we're trying to do something to you,
No,
that's silly. Because it's not about that. What it's about is us identifying who it is. Let me ask you that Leonard Walker. When did he show up over
okay.
over Floyd?
I got down there. Okay, I got down there with nobody there. I was in the house.
Again, I don't.
The door was unlocked.
Was it open?
Yeah, it was open. I opened
Well, I know, but was it closed but not locked?
Yeah, it was
or was
closed,
it open?
but it was closed, but it wasn't locked.
When you walked in, what did you see? What was going on?
I peeked in, and there was nobody there. I was wondering why wasn't Floyd?
Was there a television in there?
The television was on, I think. I think the television was on. Yeah. And I went in. I used the restroom. I took a piss. And I went back outside. Went back outside to my bike. When I rode around the other side of the Oakwood Train, I rode over She was dressed like I was telling you. I rode to see if she might have been in that house.
Where was that at?
Right on 24th Street. I don't know the address. I was supposed to stay in the house. And I rode by the house, and then I just rode back through the park. Rode back through the park in the back of the office. And then I rode around just to make sure, see if the lights was on or anything, or if somebody had been there smoking or something. And then I come back over through the old folks home. Then my damn chain come off. The damn chain broke off the bike slide. Went around there, and that's when I seen him. I think that's when I seen him. I think I seen him sitting there. Yeah, that is right. That's when I seen him. That's right. That's when I seen him.
See,
Walker. Yeah, he was sitting on that chair outside.
that couch?
Yeah, that couch. And he said, "Come over and talk to me." So I went on and talked to him, and we were sitting down talking. And then my sister rolled by. She stopped. Quinn.
What's so funny is the day before in his interview, he said Leonard Walker was sleeping when he got back to Marsha Blakely's house from riding around with his sister. So his whole story has changed. And that him and Herbert Wallace were sitting outside on the couch all night, which makes sense because Floyd Epps wasn't a fan of it doesn't really even make sense because Floyd Epps wasn't a fan of Willie Mincy, but then all of a sudden he's hanging at his house all night with his sister's boyfriend. Yeah, no. And he said originally he never went in the house, and now he's saying he went into the house. And now Leonard's outside. His story's it's all over the place.
We talked, and she told me to come with her. So we went back to the house.
Your mother's house?
After we went
to the bike.
After we went to the project. I walked her over to the project, and then we went straight on down 21st Street to the house. And she said she's saying me and Marsha about why. I wouldn't think about the time then. You know what I'm saying? We just stopped by there, see was out here and stuff. So she told me to go on back to the house, and I said, no, I'm out. So I went on back to the house. Anyway, I got my shoes on. I went back down there.
So what about Walker? Where did he spend the night?
He stayed there all night.
How do you know?
Because I was out there. I told you. I went back to the house. I stayed there. I'm thinking I stayed there until about 4. And then I come back down with my nephew's bike. And I sit it out there, and he was inside the house, sitting in a chair. So I sit out there, and my sister's boyfriend, he come up. We sit out there.
Now Leonard Walker's in the chair. I thought he was laying on the couch outside sleeping. Now Herbert Wallace is walking up. Story just changed again.
Your sister's boyfriend,
Her Wallace. Okay. We sit out there until about 7.
what were you talking to her about?
About my sister. Remember I told you he was talking about committing suicide and stuff. And he took about 9 of those pills for jail. Got it back to me. He took about 9 of those pills. Got it. And we walked around and talked. We were down Reeves.
So the last time you saw Marsha was when you tried to catch up, when she left your mother's house at 1609 23rd. So the last time you saw Marsha was when you tried to catch up, when she left.
And we walked around and talked. We were down Reeves.
So the last time you saw Marsha was when you tried to catch up, when she left your mother's house.
Wait, did you just hear that? And I repeated it 3 times for reasons because I had to rehear it. I didn't hear that before. She knocked me. She knocked you. Where'd she knock you? Oh, are you talking about your physical fight? You guys got into a fight, which is probably why she didn't go back to get her purse. She's just getting away from you, going back home. But she knocked you. What'd she knock you with? Did she knock you off something? That probably made you mad, didn't it? And then you went and got your bike and got your shoes and you went back down to her house. I thought Leonard Walker was outside. Now he's inside. 30 seconds later.
House and on 1609 23rd. Yeah. And you tried to catch up with her, and it wasn't until you got to the point where you saw this car pull up. You never actually saw. You don't know that she was in that car, and you never actually saw her after she walked away from the house, the mother's house, right? Okay, so let's get back to the point. Point is, who would want to kill her? Okay, so let's get back to the point. Point is, who would want to kill her? Well,
so the day before, as you all know, if you've watched this before, they were talking about the white station wagon. And Detective Italiano says to Mincy at the 11-minute mark, he says, you never actually saw her. You don't know if she was in that car. You didn't actually see her in that car. And Willie agrees. So Willie is on me. He made, the station wagon thing. He never saw her in the station wagon. The last time he saw her is when she was walking away from his mom's house, which I don't believe that was the last time he saw her, because a witness puts him in front of her house arguing with her. Then we'll talk about that tomorrow during Gwen Mincy's interview, because she is an addict as well. And you can tell throughout the interview, she's not doing it that well. And she starts getting irritated and starts talking about the truth and what she's actually heard.
See, that's the part we have trouble believing. I mean, nobody knew her better than you. If she's your girlfriend and nobody knew her better than you, then who else would you tell, or you would be the person she'd want to tell if she was having a problem with somebody?
Marsha didn't tell me a lot of things. She was telling me a lot of
He had 3 kids together. He should have had 2 kids. She must have told you something.
Yeah,
like Joe Smith over here says he's gonna kill me because I messed up with dope there. I messed up the stuff he's gonna do to me. Or I'm messing around with these guys right here, these guys from Detroit or wherever, whoever. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure she had to tell you something.
And she wouldn't tell me stuff like that, but she know I'd be fussing. I'd be mad. Very mad.
She doesn't tell me anything because she knew I'd be fussing. I know I'd be mad. But yesterday she told you about Glenn, and then she told you about the Puerto Ricans, and then she told you about the Puerto Ricans, and then them being worried about their business. Then today you told them about the Detroit boys, and then yesterday then you told them about the New York boys, the Ohio 4, and then now you told them about the Detroit boys and Glenn again. But now you're saying to Detective Italiano that Marsha doesn't tell her business because she knows I'd be mad at her. She knows I'd be mad, and she doesn't want to, set me off because she knows I'd be mad. And is he obfuscating because he's the one that was last? And then, but what we know for a fact, besides the stories coming from somebody who sounds like they were an addict at the time, just based off yesterday and his desperation, his voice and the sniffles. I don't think he's just from crying. We know he was the last one with her. We know the statements he made yesterday. What was wrong? What's wrong with her? What's wrong with her? What's wrong with her? Well, she's dead. What do you mean what's wrong with her? Did you know she was mutilated? She was brutally killed? Her body was, looked like it'd been ran over, was beaten up. What's wrong with her? He didn't ask that today, though, did he? You only got about a minute left.
I'm saying, I'm sure she had to tell you something.
And she wouldn't tell me stuff like that, but she know I'd be fussing. I'd be mad. Very mad.
Well, you knew she smoked dope, right? You know she boosted stuff to support her habit, right? She turned tricks.
I'd imagine so.
Okay, so if you knew that, she probably knew you knew it.
The rest of the interview was cut off at that point. And like I said, the Lorain police are working on getting me the rest of the recording. I am going to leave it there tonight, just because I have a little bit of a cold and I need to get some sleep. But yeah, what we take from this interview is just a couple things, okay? And we're going to go over them just one last time real quick. Couple of things we learned from this interview, okay? That she used to carry a knife on her. We know that, okay? She used to carry a knife on her when she did her dirt, like Willie Mincy says, and then, he showed, apparently, Detective Taliano a knife like his and showed her. We know she kept her knife in her purse, right? And we know Mincy said when Taliano asked, where did she keep the knife? He said, it was in her purse. It was in her purse. Not, oh, well, she usually carried it in her purse. So, like, the last thing that I know of where she carried it was a purse. No, he said it was in her purse. It was in her purse. Like, he knew it was in there because he used it on her, right? Allegedly. Saw my theory. And Taliano says, oh, the purse right here? No. The crackhead has 200 purses. She has so many purses, you guys. She doesn't know which one she keeps her knife in. She was pulling a trick that night, but, she didn't bring a knife with her because, she didn't tell Mincy she carried it all the time, even though he said she did. Then he says today in today's synopsis, he says that Taliano asks her how much was she into these people for, and Mincy responds, he doesn't think she was into it like that. The way somebody ran her over with a car, I mean, I don't think that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense because it doesn't make any sense. Nobody's running over a crackhead for a crack rock. Nobody's killing a crackhead because of that. And no offense to Marsha Blakely, she was an addict at the time. I know crackhead's like a derogatory, but like seriously. No, I'm just trying to say, like, in the sense of no person that's moving weight is going to be even dealing with the Marsha Blakely type at that time. We also know that Detective Taliano tells Willie Mincy, that he never actually saw her car, that you don't know if she was even in the car. You didn't actually see her in the car. And Willie agrees. He admits he didn't really physically see her. The last time that he physically saw her was walking away from his mom's. I don't believe that one because a witness puts him somewhere else. And then lastly, Detective Taliano goes to him and says, you knew all of her business. You were the closest person to her. That's what everybody's telling us. You're the closest person to her. She has to tell you stuff like who she owes money to and stuff. And Willie Mincy goes, oh, no, she didn't tell me stuff like that because she knows I'd be getting mad at her. Well, the day before, he told him about the Puerto Rican selling Colombian Bam Bam next door. He told him about Glenn, that she owed money to that was evicted. He told them about, let's see, we have Glenn, we have the Puerto Rican Bam Bam. Oh, then he told him about the New York guys. Then today he told him about Glenn again. And then today he also told them about some Detroit guys. Yesterday, he also told them about the Detroit guys that she be owing money to because she smoked up all their crack. Remember, because Detective Taliano said yesterday, oh, I can use that. I can use stuff like that. I'm not going to look at like the person in front of me who's admitted to being with her within, the last 30 minutes of her time of death. Was mad at her, was mad at Floyd Epps probably for letting her spend the night there. Yeah, it's not them. It's not him, even though it clearly looks like it's baby dad who is fighting with her, having an argument, seen by multiple people having an argument, then seen by a witness outside of her apartment, walking away with some male chasing her in a car, chasing behind them. Oh, did that happen? That did happen. And that is where we're going to learn tomorrow with the interview from Gwen Mincy. You all stay focused. I'm going to leave you guys with what Alfred Cleveland and Lenworth Edwards said when they thought they actually had the opportunity for a motion for a new trial, when they were trying to plead to the judges to put it on the docket to hear the motion when J. Tomlinson was still in office. Like I said, I want to kind of inform you about the Ohio 4 while we're listening to these interviews. it gives you guys a little more background information. It also shows that they've been fighting for their innocence. I will see you guys tomorrow for the Gwen Mincy interview. And you stay focused, Lorain County, Ohio, and beyond.
That's JOANNASANDCHEZ. I'm director of the Wrongful Conviction Project at the Ohio Public Defender's Office. That's JOANNASANDCHEZ. I'm director of the Wrongful Conviction Project at the Ohio Public Defender's Office, and I represent Benson.
Hold on, I downloaded the wrong one. I gotta open it now. Give me a second. I thought the one I grabbed was the right one. If I don't mess up at least once, it's not a real episode. All right, let's see. Is this one it? Okay. All right, hold on. Now it's not even popping up on my thing. Let's see. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna open up my Facebook because I sent it to myself through there. Like I said, it's not a real episode, but I don't at least mess up once. You know what I mean? That's how annoying this is. 2 seconds, you guys. Because I want you to be able to hear from them. You know what I mean? There's something different when you actually get to hear from the people themselves. You know, you get to put a person to the name, and I think that makes all the difference in the world sometimes. And give me a second. Facebook's being super slow, probably because I'm on a live. Come on. Load if you love me. There we go. Come on, Facebook, you're being so slow. Oh, did I send myself the same one? I'm going to be so mad. I did, like an idiot. Oh, I'm so mad about that right now. All right, let's see what I can do. I'm just going to leave you there tonight. Fuck it. Fuck it. All right. I'll actually open with that tomorrow. Then we'll open with Lenworth, Edwards, and Alfred Cleveland. And I have not been able to find something from Benson Davis yet. I'm going to look because I do want you to hear from him. And I've never actually spoken to him directly. But you all have a good night and stay focused, Lorain County. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you for joining me today on Mean Street. I hope you enjoyed the show. I would greatly appreciate it if you would consider supporting our work and supporting my effort. You can support directly underneath at the Spotify donations, or you can directly give a donation at paypal.me/Mean Street, Ohio. Any donation received will help me continue to provide news to you and everyone else across Ohio and beyond. I love what I do, and I just hope to continue to do it. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me today on Mean Street. I hope you enjoyed the show. I would greatly appreciate